Hey, so you aspire to be a project manager, but something's holding you back, or perhaps you just made it there and landed the project manager title. The interviews are done, the offer is signed, and it's official. But now that you're in the job, a new feeling is creeping in, isn't it? It's that quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that whispers, "You don't belong here. You're not qualified for this. Any minute now, they're going to find out you're a fake." Well, if that sounds even remotely familiar, you need to hear this loud and clear. You're not alone. That feeling is incredibly common and it has a name: imposter syndrome. Research shows it's a widespread phenomenon, with some studies indicating that up to 70% of people feel this way at some point in their careers. So, in this video, we're not just going to label the feeling, we're going to walk through the exact practical strategies that you can use to prove that inner critic wrong and finally step into your role with the confidence you've earned. So, why does project management feel like a perfect breeding ground for this specific kind of self doubt? Well, it's because the very nature of the job sets you up for it. I mean, think about it. The PM role is inherently messy and always changing. You're the central hub for everything: deadlines, budgets, resources, personalities, and a constant flood of new information and problems. You're juggling a dozen different balls, and the fear of dropping even one is intense. Well, what makes this even tougher is a fundamental truth of being a PM. You are a generalist leading a team of specialists. For example, you're managing a software project, but you aren't the senior developer. You're overseeing a construction project, but you aren't the structural engineer. And this leaves you feeling uniquely exposed. The people on your team often have years of deep technical expertise that you don't have, which is the perfect trigger for that voice in your head. What am I even adding if I'm not the expert? Well, now this shows up in a few classic ways. Maybe you find yourself overworking, staying late to triple check everything to make up for what you think you lack in skill. Maybe you get quiet in meetings, afraid to ask a question because you think it'll out you as someone who doesn't know enough. Or when a project goes well, you immediately credit luck or the team's hard work, but never your own leadership. Well, that's the core of imposter syndrome. Despite clear evidence of your success, you feel like a fraud. Well, I remember this feeling so clearly. I was on my first big project managing a major software integration. The team was all senior back-end engineers and subject matter experts, people with a decade more experience than me. I'd sit in team meetings and they'd be debating different database structures and technical protocols. And honestly, it felt like I was trying to understand a foreign language. My heart would be pounding before every single stand-up meeting. I was completely convinced that the second I opened my mouth to ask a question, they'd all just look at each other and think, "Who let this guy lead us?" Well, I spent a lot of time Googling technical terms, just trying to keep my head above water. But in doing so, I felt like a total fraud, a translator who could barely speak the language. And my inner critic was brutal. "You're just a glorified meeting scheduler. You're not adding any real value." I tell you, it was exhausting. But the turning point wasn't some big aha moment, but a slow, gradual realization. One day, a senior engineer came to me totally frustrated. Two different team leads were pulling him in opposite directions, and he had no idea whose priority to follow. I didn't have the technical answer, but what I could do was get the right people in a room, guide a conversation back to the project's main goals, and help them land on a decision together. And that's when it started to click. My value wasn't knowing how to code the solution. My value was in clearing the path so the experts could do their best work. My job wasn't to be the smartest person in the room. My job was to be the person who could best manage the room. Shifting my perspective like that was the first real step to telling that inner critic to shut up. So here are 7 strategies that you can use to silence your inner critic. And this is practical stuff, actionable strategies you can start using today to build your confidence and start winning the argument against that inner critic. Strategy 1, acknowledge and externalize the feeling. First, you have to see imposter syndrome for what it is. It's a bogus storyline, not a reflection of reality. It's a thought pattern, not a final verdict on your skills. One of the most powerful things you can do is give that name a voice. Seriously, call it the gremlin, the critic, Jimmy, Susie, nagging pain, whatever works. By giving it a separate identity, you stop its narrative from being your own. And when the thought pops up, "You're going to fail," You can respond with, there's that critic again, trying to get me to play it safe. This simple trick creates distance. It reframes the feeling from an internally believed truth, like I am a fraud, to an external observation, like I am having a moment of self-doubt. This lets you see the feeling without letting it become you. Second strategy, reframe your job description. The single biggest fear for new PMs is that they have to know everything. And let me be perfectly clear, you do not. It's actually impossible. Your job isn't to be the master of every task, it's to be the master of the process. You are a facilitator. That's a topic we talked about in another video. You are a conductor in a communication hub. Think of it this way. You're not the person who builds the engine. You're the one who makes sure the mechanics have the parts they need, the garage is organized, and everyone agrees on what car they're building in the first place. Once you reframe your role from all-knowing expert to master facilitator, that pressure to have all the answers just vanishes. Your value isn't what you know, it's in how you lead, communicate, and unblock your team. Strategy 3, become an evidence collector. Imposter syndrome runs on vague feelings of not being good enough. The only way to fight vague feelings is with cold, hard facts. From this day forward, I want you to become a ruthless evidence collector of your own competence. Start a document today. Call it success file, brag document, or evidence log. And every time something good happens, you write it down. Did a stakeholder send you a positive email? Copy and paste it. Did you navigate a really difficult meeting successfully? Write down what happened and what your role was. Did the project hit a huge milestone? Document it. Did you solve a small annoying problem that was blocking someone? Well, write it down. And this isn't about ego, it's a strategic tool. When your inner critic starts whispering that you're a failure, you have a file of undeniable proof to shut it down. On days like you feel like a fraud, open that document and read it. You can't argue with your own track record. Strategy 4, master the art of the dumb question. Now, new PMs are often terrified of asking questions, worried it will expose them. You need to flip that idea on its head. Asking clarifying questions isn't a weakness, it's one of your greatest superpowers as a PM. Your job is to uncover hidden risks and bad assumptions. So the dumb question is always the most important one. Hey, can you walk me through that one more time? What's the biggest risk with this plan? Help me understand why this is a better choice than the other option. You see, when you do this, you're giving your expert team a stage to share their knowledge, and in the process, you're making sure everyone is aligned. The most confident and effective PMs I know are the ones who are never afraid to say, I don't get it. Could you explain that to me? Strategy 5 is find your PM confidant circle. Imposter syndrome wants to isolate you. It wants you to think you're the only one feeling this way. The fastest way to shatter that illusion is to talk about it. And this is important. You need to build a support network. Find a mentor, a more senior PM who has already been through this fire. Their perspective is gold. But just as important is finding your peers. Connect with other new PMs, either at your company or in online communities. The moment you share your fear of being found out, you'll almost always be met with, oh my gosh, me too. Realizing that this is just a normal, shared part of the journey is so liberating. It normalizes the struggle and turns an isolated feeling into a source of connection. By the way, if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me what problem you're having while pursuing a PM role, I'd be happy to chat with you. On to the next strategy. Strategy 6, make your value visible. A lot of a PM's work is invisible. It's all communication, influence, and problem solving. And that can make it hard to point to what you've actually done. So you have to make it visible. Use your project management tools, not to run the project, but to see your own contribution. Look at the project plan or Gantt chart you built. That's a physical artifact of your work. Review the risk register you maintain. You created that structure for foresight. Look at that clean dashboard that gives stakeholders a clear view of progress. That clarity exists because of you. These tools are proof that you are bringing order to chaos, and that is the fundamental value of a project manager. And the final one, strategy 7, teach what you learn. One of the fastest ways to feel confident in what you know is to share it. This probably sounds completely backward when you feel like you don't know anything, but trust me, it works. You don't have to be a world-renowned expert to teach. Did you just figure out a better way to run a stakeholder meeting? Well, share the idea with another PM. Did you finally wrap your head around a complex part of the project? Explain it to an intern or a new hire. The act of articulating a concept for someone else cements it in your own mind, and it shifts you from learner to leader and gives you immediate proof of your growing expertise. So now you have the strategies, a framework to work with. The power is back in your hands. And because I know PMs love a good framework, I've put together a bundled framework series to help you know more about being a project manager. It's a guide pack to help you focus on the right things, get some early wins, and start collecting evidence for your success file from day one. The link to download that is in the description below. Now, this is important. That inner critic might never totally disappear, but it definitely doesn't have to be in the driver's seat anymore. So here's my ask. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's the number one thing your inner critic tells you? Sharing it is the first step to taking away its power. You're not a fake. Now go prove it. And if you want more practical advice to build your career in project management, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, as that simple combination helps YouTube grow the channel. So until next time.